Hello everyone, Devashree here. This is day 8 of my assignment. So let's start with the assignment. So question number 1 is explain with the example different high level points which we write in test plan. So what is test plan? So test plan is the detailed document which contains strategy of the test plan, strategy for the testing, requirements or the schedules, the deliverables and the estimate for the test, right? So these are some points that are there in the test plan which are required to perform the testing on the software to be developed. So this is what the basic of test plan is. Now we'll look into that, what the high level points are included in the test plan. So it includes analyze the product, design the test strategy, define test objectives, define test criteria, resource planning, plan test environment, schedule and estimation, and determine the test deliverables. So here consider a phrase to be developed, right? So analyze the product means the first is to analyze the product. So here we are taking the example of refrigerator. So analyzing means who will be using this product, what kind of users or what type of where it will be used, right? So the use of the product, the who will use and where it will be used, and what will be the functionality of the product. So this is what the analyzing of the product is, right? So analyze the product is to determine the is its usage and its functionality is. So now moving to the next phase, that is design test strategy. In this, we actually make a strategy, right? What is the scope of this testing here? What type of testing we need to perform on this particular product to be built as per the requirement of the client, and the logistic, right? Logistic here, test logistic means who will test this product and when the testing will start, right? So these are the some strategies that the design test strategies we can state that here we can at least set the strategy for the test to be done, testing to be done. Now the define test objectives. Here we'll do the list all the features of this refrigerator, like if the doors are opening and closing, if the light in that refrigerator is working properly, the cooling of that refrigerator is up to the mark or not. So these are the some objectives of that refrigerator, right? So we need to actually list out all the features of that, right? So this is what the defining of the objective and what will be achieved using that, or what will be the goal of that testing we are doing, right? So here we need to define that what will be actually achieved by using or by doing that particular test. So this is what define test objective is. So define test criteria. Here there are some rules, right? To perform the test cases or to perform the testing, there are some rules or the guidelines to perform the testing. So here in the test criteria will define that rules to start the testing. Now the resource planning. Here the resource planning again is the major part of test plan is. So in resource planning, resources can be humans, it can be a material, or it can be a it can be a material, equipment, or the humans. So according to the resource planning, the project manager will can actually give the estimate and the schedule of the product, right? When it can be delivered and what will be the estimate will be required according to the resources he had, right? So this is what resource planning is. The next is plan test environment. Here there is a setup where the actual user is going to use that product. If refrigerator is using in that particular environment, so we'll try to create or set up that environment here, and then we'll test that refrigerator or that software here, so we can actually see whether it is working fine with that environment or not. So this is what the plan test environment is. The schedule and estimation, right? Here we can schedule the delivery of the product and the estimate the costing of the total product, what will be that. So this is what the schedule and estimation is. And determine test deliverables. The last is the determine the test deliverables. That means It includes all the documents of the test planning, test cases, and the design document for the product. So here all the documents to be maintained here. So to support the software developed, right? So this is what the determined test deliverables is. So this is for the test plan. These are some high level points of the test plan. Analyze the product, design test strategy, define test objectives, define test criteria, resource planning, plan test environment, schedule and estimation, and the last is determine test deliverables. So this is what the test plan. Now moving to the next question. Explain boundary value analysis with with the help of an example. So what is boundary value analysis? It is a black box testing method where in this method, many a times what happens is the application gets fail on the boundaries or the extreme points of the application, right? Extreme point means the minimum and the maximum value of that application. So this is the boundary value analysis that particular here we particularly work on the extreme conditions of that application. For an example, for customer, this is a bank account, right? A customer name should contains 2 to 64 characters, right? And here, if I try to enter single number here, single digit number here, it won't accept. It will throw me an error because the minimum value is 2 and the maximum value is 64. So it should not actually accept that data because I have entered the wrong, right? So 64, if I enter 65 characters there, so it will again throw me an error. But if I write 2 to 64 between any this 2 to 64 characters, it will accept the data. So this is what the boundary analysis does. It actually contains minimum minus 1, minimum plus 1, normal, maximum minus 1, maximum plus 1. Here, this all sets of data are entered here to check the actual working or the functioning of that particular page or that particular software. So this is what the boundary value analysis is. Now moving to the next question. Explain equivalence partitioning with the help of an example. So what is equivalence partitioning? Again, equivalent partitioning is the black box testing method, right? So here what is happening? The input of the programming is divided into classes, right? And that classes are then used to derive the test cases from that. For example, here in equivalence partitioning means here we are having the set of valid input and invalid input. It is a set of valid and invalid input conditions here. So here, for example, we are considering the page for the college admission, right? So a particular college accepts the percentage between 50 to 90. But if I put here less than 50, it should throw me an error, right? So it should not accept that data. And if I actually enter the percentage above 90, then also it will show me an error. So between 50 to 90, only the valid input is there. So between that, if I put those values, it will redirect me or navigate me to the proper page or the further page. So this is what the equivalence partitioning is. So now what is the last and the fourth question is, explain difference between smoke and the sanitary testing with an example. Okay. So what is smoke testing? Smoke testing is the testing where all the features are tested, right? And the sanitary testing is the basic of the sanitary testing is where the modification or the defect are there in that particular software or the particular system or particular product. There is the sanitary testing does that. So the basic of smoke testing is, smoke testing is a process where the software build is deployed to quality assurance environment and is verified to ensure the stability of the application. Smoke testing is also known as confidence testing or build verification testing. On the other hand, sanity testing is a subset of regression testing. Sanity testing is performed to ensure that the code changes that are made are working as properly, and sanity testing is a stoppage to check whether the testing for the build can be proceeded or not. Let's see an example the difference between both. In smoke testing, what we do is, here consider a login page. So here on the login page, we will determine the functionality of username, functionality of password, and the login functionality, right? So this is what the smoke testing will do. It will go for the all features in the page or that particular system. It will go for each and every features. On the other hand, what sanity testing is doing, if I entered here the 6-digit password, right? But the minimum requirement is of 8-digit, and still it is considering or accepting that 6-digit password which I have entered, and without throwing any error on that, right? So what is that is the error here. So we'll send that it to the development team, right? And the development team will fix that and again send it to us for the testing. So now what the sanity testing here do, will test for the password field as well because it is modified, right? And we'll see whether it has affected any of the other features like username or the login feature, right? So if password field is changed, we need to test username and login, right? Whether to it is checked to see that whether it is not affected any of the functionalities, right? So this is the basic difference between smoke and the sanity testing. Thank you.